Okay, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something that is the absolute bedrock of quality in any regulated industry, and that is requirements management. Every single test, every risk assessment, it all starts right here. Getting this right isn't just a good idea, it is everything. And this really says it all, doesn't it? This isn't some over-the-top exaggeration, it's the simple truth. When your requirements are a mess, the entire quality system feels that pain, from the folks in development all the way to the audit room. The stakes are just incredibly high. So, okay, if that's the problem, what's the solution? How do we get from that state of potential chaos to a place of total control and clarity? Well, let's break down exactly how QAtrial helps you do that. We're really framing this as a journey from chaos to control, because that's what solid requirements management gives you. It's all about building an unbreakable foundation for every single quality activity that comes after. And this gets to a core philosophy in QAtrial. It doesn't see requirements as just, simple text boxes. They're treated as first-class entities. That means they are structured, managed objects that have their own lifecycle and a complete, unchangeable history. And trust me, that shift in thinking is a total game changer. Now, I know that idea of a first-class entity might sound a little abstract, but the whole journey to control begins with one very simple, very structured action: creating your first requirement. So let's see how that works. It really just starts with three core fields. The title, this is key, has to be testable. So instead of something vague like authentication logging, you'd write something like system shall log all user authentication events with a timestamp and user ID. See the difference? One is just an idea, the other is a verifiable statement. Then you add all the details and acceptance criteria in the description and set its initial status. Super simple, but incredibly powerful. And the second you save it, this happens. The system gives it a permanent, unique ID. This is a brilliant example of a core compliance principle in action. That ID, REQ001, will never, ever change. It won't ever be reused, even if you delete the requirement. And why is that? Because an auditor has to be able to trace a record back to its unique identifier, with zero ambiguity. But a requirement is so much more than just a title and description. It's really an intelligent object, and it gets enriched with data that makes it searchable, linkable, and completely audit-ready. Just have a look at how this breaks down. Every single one of these metadata fields adds another layer of intelligence. Tags help you categorize things and can even automate linking to your test cases. Risk level, that feeds directly into your risk dashboards. Jurisdictions let you scope your system for different markets. And things like evidence hints, they give your QA team a head start on what they need to go and collect. It completely transforms a simple statement into a powerful tool. And let's just zoom in on this one field for a second, because it is a huge deal during an audit. Instead of you scrambling through documents to find an answer, the requirement itself tells you exactly which clause it addresses, like 21 CFR 11.10E. It's a direct, clear-as-day link from your system right to the regulation. So, once you have all these well-structured, intelligent requirements, what's the big payoff? Well, this is where things get really, really exciting. You unlock a whole new level of efficiency, and it's all powered by AI. I mean, think about the old way of writing tests. It's slow, it's tedious, and it is so easy to miss some edge cases. Now, compare that to an AI-powered approach. The AI reads your rich requirement and instantly drafts a whole set of comprehensive tests. That frees up your expert QA engineers to focus on the more complex, tricky challenges. And here's how it actually works in practice. This isn't some scary black box. The AI analyzes the requirement and proposes a set of detailed test cases. But, and this is the important part, you are always in control. You review them, you can tweak them, and you accept the ones you want. It's a classic human-in-the-loop design. The AI gives you a draft, but the human expert always makes the final call. It's the exact same principle for risk. The AI analyzes the requirement, suggests a severity and a likelihood rating, and, crucially, it gives you a clear rationale explaining why it's making that suggestion. Once you accept it, boom, your risk dashboards get updated automatically. It's kind of like having an expert assistant helping you classify risk consistently across your entire project. Okay, so let's bring it all home. All of these features, the structure, the metadata, the AI assistants, they are all building towards one ultimate goal: creating an audit-proof system that gives you complete control and accountability. Every single requirement moves through this very clear three-state lifecycle. It always starts as a draft. Once it's reviewed and approved, it becomes active, and that's the official baseline version that you test against. And when it's all done, it's closed. But notice it's never deleted. Its entire history stays right there, intact. And moving between those states, especially that jump to active, often needs a formal approval. This is handled through a 21 CFR Part 11 compliant e-signature process, which is basically the FDA's gold standard for making sure electronic records are trustworthy and reliable. You have to re-enter your password, state the meaning and the reason for your signature, and then submit it. This creates a secure, permanent record of who approved what and why they did it. And this brings us to the final piece of the compliance puzzle. Every single one of these actions, the creation, the edits, the status changes, the signatures, it is all captured in an immutable audit trail. It's append only, which is a fancy way of saying nothing can ever be edited or deleted from the log. This isn't just a nice-to-have feature. It is the non-negotiable cornerstone of regulatory compliance. So, what are the big takeaways here? First, write those testable titles. It helps you and it helps the AI. Second, define your risk levels early on to get the most out of your dashboards. Third, be super specific with your regulatory references for your auditors. And finally, always remember that any generated content is a starting point, not the final word. Always review and tailor it to your specific product. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this one idea. Requirements management isn't just a part of your quality system. It is the #1 foundation that everything else absolutely depends on. Which really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look at your own processes, how do they stack up? Is your quality foundation solid as a rock, or are there maybe a few cracks starting to show? Something to chew on.